everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the WBL Update. My name is Alec Witt, and this is...
Tommy McGlynn, happy to be here.
Tommy McGlynn, very happy to be here. He's sitting in for Lisa Van Wyk, who is currently on nice little spring break vacation. We got trapped in Wisconsin, Tommy and I, which is why we are here. But again, happy to be here. And we just wanted to talk a little bit about what the postseason is going to look like. This week and last week, we did not have any games. We're kind of in our stopping point within the year, gearing up for the second half of the season. We made the move to Just a Game Fieldhouse, closed up our game at the Menominee Nation Arena, and now our next game at Just a Game Fieldhouse is on April 9th. That's our next regular season game set. 3 games played there, so looking forward to that. But in the postseason, Tommy and I have really spent some time thinking about what we wanted to do contest-wise, what we wanted it to look like, and it's split up between 2 dates. So we have May 21st, which will host 2 playoff games, and then in between those 2 playoff games, there will be the 3-point contest and the levels contest. So everyone pretty much knows what the 3-point contest is, but what is the levels contest? Talk a little bit about how we came up with that.
Yeah, so I remember watching this levels contest in the NBA All-Star game, that All-Star weekend, one of my favorites in middle school, high school. And essentially what it is 3 players or 3 representatives from each team are going to be in, each one is going to be in charge of shooting a layup, a free throw, and a 3-pointer. And so once each one of those shots is made, they can all move as a group to the half-court shot. And that's how you end your time, because that's when the time will start after the layup. And after you make that half-court shot, it'll just kind of be the fastest team to complete those 4 shots.
So time-based competition, essentially.
Right.
With those 3 individuals, we have an athlete representing the team. So within that team, so it would be an athlete on Dynasty, and then it would be a coach on Dynasty. And then that 3rd position is kind of interesting. We're going with an AAU athlete or a youth athlete within that organization or related to the organization. So for Dynasty, just using them as an example, they have an AAU organization, so they are able to choose from an athlete that is 14U or older. So that leaves 14U, 15, 16, 17, and able to compete within that competition. So it'll be a nice variation to bring in a community aspect to the WBL.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's May 21st. Again, 2 playoff games, the level contest, the 3-point contest, and then we have June 11th, which is going to be the 2 playoff games, and that's going to be also the WBL championship game to close the night out at 8 p.m. But in between that, we're going to roll out the dunk contest, which everyone pretty much knows along with the 3-point contest, but then also the combo contest. And tell us a little bit about what the combo contest is if people aren't familiar with it.
Yeah, so it's something that I was able to participate in back in high school, and I just thought it was a really cool idea for, an all-star game, an all-star kind of weekend type of thing. You take 2 players or 2 athletes from each team, and those 2 will kind of serve as partners in this combo shooting contest. And it's a timed event, but it's also based off of the score that you get. So there'll be 3 different levels where the layup is worth 1 point, the elbows are going to be worth 2 points, the wing threes are going to be worth 3, and then there's going to be a deep 4-point shot kind of at the top. And it'll just be, 1 ball between the 2, and it'll be their responsibility to get their own, rebound and get it to their partner and see how many points they can rack up in those 60 seconds.
Awesome. And I can guarantee we're going to see a lot of those guys shooting from that 4-point mark. That's kind of where they already shoot from. That's where the game is extended to. I know last week we talked the first week we talked a little bit about the 4-point shot, and it'd be interesting to know your opinion on that with your background. So first, tell us a little bit about actually who you are, right? I guess this is the formal introduction of Tommy McGlynn here.
Right.
And then also your take on the 4-pointer.
So I have a pretty heavy basketball background. Played basketball at UW-Oshkosh for the last 5 years, and obviously played in high school.
Yeah.
All through I've been playing probably since I was 4 or 5 years old. And I don't know, the 4-point shot I've really only seen in like a Harlem Globetrotters game.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I think it adds a different element, and as a fan, I think it's really exciting. I remember watching when I was a kid, going to a Harlem Globetrotters game.
Yeah.
being confused and why not everybody's just shooting from the 4-point spot. It's
Exactly.
It's worth the most. So
exactly.
It'd be really cool to see if that could be something that, you know, maybe moving forward, or, you know,
Yeah,
just
that
be a
develops.
cool element to the game for sure.
Yeah, no, it's guys are shooting deep enough, that's for sure. So I guess if they get the credit, they get the credit of that 4 points. But well, so with that, you know, I know you know a good amount of guys in the league with a UW Oshkosh background. What is it like seeing them perform now? You know, with Adam Fravor, you played with for a while, he's playing overseas, but then he's also playing for the Milwaukee Kings, and you got Brett Witchow, who's coaching the Milwaukee Kings, and you know a few of the guys in other organizations. So what's that like to see them? You know, where you saw them before and where they are now within the WBL.
Yeah, it's really cool to see, you know, my two former teammates, Adam's playing, but Brett as a coach, you know, seeing his...
a little different.
Right. You know, you see his passion that I'm familiar with as a player come out as a coach, and it's just cool because there's little line, it seems like, for him. So it's good to see them, you know, doing their thing and, you know, being so successful. And you know, some of the other guys, you know, Sean Chisholm, I was from the Madison area, and Sean was, he went to high school 6 miles down the road from me. Yeah. So, you know, played him every year. And
he's huge for the Wisconsin dynasty.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when he is on, it's impressive to see what he can do. I mean, between that big three that we talked about last week, I mean, it's impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. Sean's always been a good player, and he's always been tough, you know, and I've liked watching his, you know, post high school career kind of, you know, I followed him, you know, obviously social media and stuff, it's easy to stay in touch. And so, you know, kind of watching him continue to do his thing through, you know, he's going to be hooping wherever he goes. So,
yeah. And that's I like that about this league is that we have a league full of guys that just love to play basketball. So, with that, obviously, we don't have any post-game reports or anything like that, but we do have a new update within the Milwaukee Kings roster. They have picked up Trevor Entwistle. I said it right. I like it. Okay, I said it right. And tell us a little bit about who Trevor is, because you have a little bit more knowledge on him than I do, and you know, his playing background.
I was able to watch Trevor back, you know, in 16, 17U AAU basketball.
Okay, yeah, so the roots.
Exactly. Yeah. He played with my older brother on, you know, through AAU, and Trevor was always, you know, the tough-nosed kind of bulldog defender who was always, you know, never, you know, back down from a, you know, Division I player, you know, anything like that.
He wanted that, like he strived for that,
wanted all of it. And he also, you know, on the other end of the ball has just an absolute flamethrower. So he can, you know, knock down open shots, you know, defend the best player. He'll be really exciting to watch in the league for sure. That's awesome.
I mean, that's awesome to hear because of what I feel the Kings need. You know, I think they could use another shooter, but also defensively, I think they need a spark. So to bring on Trevor, I think is a great addition, and he's a local addition, being a former Neenah High School graduate. So it's very cool to see another great addition to the league. With that, we wanted to kind of transfer into our player interview with Cole Ellisted. Cole is on the Wisconsin Ignite, which is currently 6-2 and at the top of our league. So let's get right into that. All right, and joining us now is Cole Ellisted of the Wisconsin Ignite. How are you, Cole?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain.
Not too bad. Good. Cole, you're averaging 19.3 points per game, 5.6 rebounds, 4 assists per game, and 48.7% from field goal range. Now, tell us a little bit about your background and how you kind of got to this point where you're at in basketball.
Like my original background, or like college, high school, or you want?
Yeah, go from the roots. Go from the roots. Go from the roots.
Well, actually, I didn't really pick up basketball right away. I was a baseball player. That was my sport. That's what I really stuck with. I didn't pick up basketball until a little bit later. I think like 4th, 5th grade is when I first picked it up. And I hated it. I couldn't dribble between my legs. I went to like camps, everything. I hated it. I told my mom, I cried. I was like, I'm a baseball player. I'm not a basketball player. And they kept making me go to the camps. I went to my dad and asked him, I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be good, you know, and I love baseball. I love to compete. And I said I wasn't going to be good. And he looked at me, and at the time, my dad was a professional fast pitch softball player.
Oh, okay.
And so he was a really good, like, softball player and what I really looked up to, and that's why I love baseball so much. he told me, he's like, you have my genes. You will be you'll be able to play. So
Yeah. I love the confidence.
didn't worry about it. And that's all I worked on after that was basketball. I kind of just fell in love with it. So 5th, 6th grade, carrying on then, I made the travel team. Then I started to really work on my game and really branch out. And I grew up with great players all around me with Philip Flory, Tyrese Halliburton. I used to go to Tyrese's house and we used to play on his hoop outside all the time. So, Austin Trachinsky was the guy that actually got me into basketball. So a lot of really good friends that were really good athletes got me into competing and continue it. And I continued all through middle school, played AAU, went through high school, played high school there, played for Oshkosh North for the legendary Frank Shady, and had a pretty successful year there with those guys, and went on to college at Marian University, and with injuries and everything wasn't able to stay long there. So after Marian, I just wanted to really take basketball serious after that. And that's when I think I really grew as a basketball player and grew as an athlete. Everything I wanted to do was serious. And so I was working out all the time. I was playing in leagues, doing everything I could. And I didn't know what I wanted to do, if I wanted to go back to college or what. And I think that's when actually you guys reached out to me for the first tryouts last year. And that's how I joined the Blaze Pro team last year.
Got it. Yeah. And tell us a little bit about what that experience. So now you love basketball, right? Like, just clarifying that we're not like it.
No, this is my sport now.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify, like, you're not playing in some sort of semi-pro baseball as well. Like, we're not side gigging it.
No, my baseball career got ended short due to injuries. I was a pitcher, became a pretty good pitcher, and I could throw hard, but my real pro was my breaking ball. I had a nasty curveball, and when doing that, I really twisted my elbow and on my curveball, and with doing that destroyed my elbow. And they told me I needed Tommy John, and that's it. No more baseball for me.
Wow.
So I stuck to basketball ever since and never looked back.
Yeah, well, unfortunate for baseball, happy for basketball, essentially, right?
Made the right choice.
Yeah, made the right choice. So tell us a little bit about, I know you kind of stopped right there at Blaze Pro last year, and we played in the ABA last year. You and I have been through a bunch of that, but what is it like now playing from flashback to last year and then flash forward to this year? What are like the differences? What's different in each game?
Yeah. So for the ABA, it felt more, if you were around the league, you were respected a little bit more. If you were really, a team that's been developed for a few years now, you kind of get the calls, you kind of get the officials, they know what you're like. So us being a brand new team, I thought we got, the short end of the stick on that, but we were still there to compete. Yeah, just a little bit. The officiating was a little bit different in the ABA. The rules, obviously, with the 3-point and the 4-point plays were a little different. So those are your biggest thing. But I think with the WBL, nothing was wrong with the ABA. It has its own benefits and its own, pluses. But I think the WBL, we really established a really, like, pro mentality. Guys are showing up on time. Guys are showing up here. You have your pro rules. You're held to a higher standard. You want to be, these are guys that all want to be at that next level, at the professional level. And I think that really was established well from the beginning, because if you look back at our facility and everything we had in the ABA, we were easily the most professional team with our warm-ups, with our gear, our backpacks, team shoes, all that stuff. We were really spoiled. So we were easily the most professional team. I've talked to other guys on other teams, and sometimes they wouldn't even practice, or they'd have to go to a local high school or something else to practice, where really here we've established something that's all uniform. It's all the same. It's very professional. The refs know what they're calling or looking for, and things like that. And I think it's really taken good steps in the right direction as far as what guys our returners would like. And I think in the next few years, this is just going to blow up. I think it's going to be huge.
Yeah, well, appreciate you saying that for sure. Yeah, it's awesome that you feel that invested in the WBL. That's awesome.
So for me, I've kind of been around some of these guys that are in the league, we were talking about it earlier, that, Sean Chisholm, Adam Fravor, Brett, coaching, these are my teammates. And I was just kind of wondering, who's your toughest matchup? Who's the guy in the league that you kind of go, all right, it's, time to lock in?
Yeah, that's a good question. On every team, every team in this league is tough. You can't take a game off every time. I think we had a couple, good wins early in the season where we beat the guys pretty handedly, and we'd come back next game and either lose or it'd be a dogfight or whatever. So there's no real team that you can take off. I mean, you look at any team top down, you'll see, okay, we got to lock in at these guys. You got to lock in at this guys. That movement hoops team is really tough. You know, they have some really good guards on their team. The dynasty with their bigs, they're massive compared to us, you know, and they dominate the board. So every game's a little bit different. Each team brings a known dynamic. But to be honest, and I don't think it shows that the other Blaze team is probably the toughest team. I know that last time we played them, they didn't really show it. But they have a really good roster, a really good squad. They're really tough, and I think they're a few pieces away from putting it together. You know, the record doesn't show, and that 50-point loss or whatever it was doesn't show either. But they have some guys there that it's like, okay, we have to key in on them. And I think that was huge in our win against them, was really keying in on their main scores that really lit us up last time to really try to take them out of the game and you know go from there and ended up working in our favor. Like the Kings are tough. They, like you said, they have guys everywhere. Everybody in this league is tough. Everybody, you know, so there isn't really one matchup that we're scared of. You know, we don't fear anybody, but they're always guys that we have to be aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that. You know, I've been to a few games, and you know, even before I started working here, that you know, I only saw close games, you know, those first couple weekends. And yeah, you're right. You know, every team, there's, you know, any given night, you know, it can be anybody's game. So being just locked in. My other question, I would love to know, post-college, you talked about how that was kind of your time to, you know, focus on basketball, which isn't always the case for most serious basketball players. You know, that's kind of a unique journey. Where would you say, after you got out of the college basketball game, where do you think your game has expanded the most?
As far like where it has?
Yeah, like what aspect of your game, you know, would you say has either changed or improved the most, or, you know, something like that?
Mainly, I would say my confidence. Actually, I always thought, you know, in high school or even college, I had it, but I never played like I had. You know, and that was the biggest mindset for me, was flipping a switch and having that mentality. You hear those NBA players talk about that Mamba mentality, and that's really what it was. It was me really thinking, okay, I can go get a bucket, or I can go do this or that. So, I mean, in high school and college, I never really could dunk. I never could do any of that. You know, it's just a matter of a mindset for me. It's just flipping a switch and starting to get faster and stronger. I started to shoot from deeper. I started to get a better ball handle. I started to finish better at the rim. I developed a mid-range game. I developed, you know, my own kind of identity, where I was able to, like I said, dunk and shoot from deep and do these things and really just play with this mentality that I'm just better than anybody on the court. And I think that's the mentality that you have to have, that you can go kill anybody. And that's just what the mentality turned into. So that's what I was, kind of timid, kind of relaxed and reserved. And that really changed. And what really, I think, made me into the player I am today is really just playing with that mindset and the mentality.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I obviously I've known you within the past like 2 years, right? And I go back and like I've seen some like interviews with you and like with like Tyrese post Oshkosh North games, and here's Cole, like this little stick who's a little nervous, it seemed like. And now, I mean, I've only ever known you as this like confident, you know, going out there, every dribble's a hard dribble, every drive's a hard drive, very intense, you know, angry if you lose, like, yeah, you know, because you just expect better of yourself. So it's really cool to hear the opposite side of that, you know, about where you came from and initially not liking basketball and all those different things, but, you know, knowing where your passion is now. Like, I could have never imagined you didn't love basketball, you know. So that's really cool to see. What is your, to kind of close up here, what do you want to go moving forward? What are your dreams within basketball, and then also outside of basketball? I think it'd be interesting to tell the people what your kind of home life situation is with the amount of animals you got rolling around your house. But what are kind of your aspirations on and off the floor?
So my basketball dreams, when I picked up a basketball like 2 or 3 years ago, whenever I said it, I was like, I want to get as far as I can go. I want to take basketball as far as I can go. I was like, not a lot of people get this, you know, advantage or this ability to play basketball after high school or college. That's it. It's a wrap for them. So for me, I was like, you know, I want to take it as far as I can. If I can make it to the G League, if I can make it overseas, if I can make it professional, if I can make it here, you know, like I found a home with Wisconsin Blaze, which was huge for me. I think this is a great opportunity and just great timing. You know, I wanted to dedicate my life towards basketball, and then able to have this opportunity was huge for me. So I just want to go as far as I can, and the sky's the limit there. As hard as I can work and as far as I can go, that's what it'll be. As far as like dream and home life aspirations. You know, most people don't know that, but like my biggest, like basketball can only take me so far. You know, that's my dreams is I want to play basketball for as long as I can, but like there's an end date to that. And my passion is always been animals. I've always loved animals, always had a connection with them. So, you know, in my house, I have snakes, geckos, you know, piranhas, saltwater fish, you know, everything. I got a whole bunch of animals, and then I got a bunch of dogs too, you know, so eventually my home life or my goal is to start a business within animals and with, you know, a dog training or dog daycare or anything, reptiles, whatever it is I will start my own business in that. And I slowly started the process of doing that. You know, and we had obviously my girlfriend and I, we had our baby Tuppen. So we
congrats again.
Planning on, thank you. We're planning on moving out to the country, getting out there, starting our facility out there. So we have our room for our dogs, and you know, we'd love to do a sled team. That's our end goal with our dogs is to have a sled team. We got our Huskies, so that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and both of us are both super passionate about dogs and animals and both. So it's super nice having someone that's on your side too. I mean, she's been training dogs for 5-6 years now. It's nice knowing somebody with that kind of passion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, it's interesting to hear about, you know, the intensity and the passion on the floor because it transfers off the floor in a different way too. So as a father and also within the animals, I think that's super cool. And a little plug for Ellisted Country Animal Shelter maybe coming in the future, you know, hit up Cole for that.
Right, a little plug.
Little plug for that. But Cole, we appreciate your time. Honestly, it's been great diving into a little aspects even I didn't know. So thank you again and have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you for having me. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, thank you, Cole. That was a great interview. Very interesting to learn a little bit more about him. Obviously, you know, as stated before, I've known him for a bit, but hearing those different side of things, like creating a sled team, you know, like out of his Huskies and doing all those different things and not loving the sport. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. You know, with the ABA and WBL differences, I think, you know, going back on that a little bit, it's interesting to be a part one of last year, what the ABA was like, and then this year what the WBL is like, but also different organizations, you know, from an outsider's perspective, Tommy, or kind of, you know, the little you've seen, you know, of it, and now diving into the WBL, what do you think, you know, what do you think would be the drive? You know, why is the WBL a good route for people to go, or why is this an important outlet for people to have in Wisconsin?
Yeah, honestly, from what Cole said as like a player's perspective, you know, playing in both leagues, and then from my perspective of what you've kind of been passing on to me in terms of your vision for the league and like all that kind of stuff, really like the word professionalism coming in so bold and so prominent. Cole saying that it was just interesting that he said how even in such a young league, the emphasis on that professionalism and you know, just the overall look of everything, even, you know, from the very surface level. I thought that was really interesting to hear.
Yeah, we want to be able to bring a professional atmosphere for guys to continue their athletic careers right from their hometowns, you know, rather than just playing in a rec league. How can we offer something different? And how can we offer community members a professional outlet to be able to take their families to be able to enjoy, you know, with their fellow community members, you know, side by side within the stands. So that was kind of our biggest vision for the WBL, and it sounds like it's going in the right direction and will continue to grow. Again, to recap, we got games coming up. April 9th, 3-game series. We're going at Just a Game Fieldhouse in Wisconsin Dells. So if you can make it, great. $8 at the door. Get you into all 3 games that day. So we hope to see you there. In the meantime, though, if you are interested, sponsorships, all right, we're always looking for some. We have some great sponsorships aboard, but you can get your name on this cup. We'll get your spot right on here or on a banner or anything. You can just reach out to wisbl.com, and we will be happy to work with you. So thank you again. And Tommy, thank you so much for filling in.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. A lot of fun. Good. All right, we will see you next week.